Well, you just saw Anwar from the air, but for the full story, you need to see it from the ground. So we flew over Anwar, and how far are we from Anwar now?
We're just about 10 miles west of Anwar. It's on the other side of the Canyon River over here.
You know, it struck me that it's quite flat and there's not I didn't see a lot of animal life or anything. How far south is it like this? What's the terrain like?
You know, many miles south before we get into the mountain range, as you can see. And so when you see pictures of Anwar in the mountains and moose, I don't see that anywhere here or to the north of us.
You can look about 60 miles south and still see what we're seeing right now. So yeah, as Todd's suggesting there, the fundraiser pictures and the websites that show waterfalls and moose and mountain ranges and Dall sheep climbing along shell, that's not the real Anwar.
Is there anything to Anwar besides this flat that we've seen? I mean, have we seen pretty much a representation of Anwar?
Pretty much on our flight down here from Prudhoe, down here to Kavik hunting camp. Yeah.
What about animal life? Have you seen animals since we've been here?
We saw about 5 caribou when we landed, and there's a caribou across the runway here. But there's plenty of caribou around here normally.
Somebody said they saw 2 birds. That adds to the species list. But there are some, out of the 20 million acres set aside in Anwar, there is wilderness, there is refuge area, there are some more beautiful, more scenic landscapes to look at. But the 1002 area, the 1.5 million acres that have been set aside for the oil and gas development, including the 2,000 acres that are needed for the footprint for the development, that's the barren remoteness that you're looking at.
You know, you don't have a sense of how big this is unless you actually come up and look at it.
Absolutely, that's key. You know, to consider the 20 million acres of this, plus the 23 million acres of that's pretty much adjacent to the National Petroleum Reserve Alaska area. These tens of millions of acreages that are so vast, so remote. Yeah, people don't understand even what kind of context we're talking about until they get up here.
Todd, can you understand any of the environmental concerns or any of the complaints about this from people?
Well, you know, working on the slope for close to 20 years, knowing what we do every day to maintain our license to do business, it's hard for me to understand the direction. You know, they just want to lock up this state. Any kind of species, endangered species, they just want to lock up our complete state, let alone Anwar, for resource development.
Coming up minutes from now, Governor Sarah Palin joins us live right here on the set, and you meet an extraordinary woman who lives a life like no one else. She lives alone near the Arctic Ocean, and in the winter it's 24 hours of darkness, and the temperature can be 60 degrees below zero. And yes, remember, she's alone. You're going to